Testing, testing. Hello, everyone. Hey, guys. We're going to go ahead and get this meeting started. Back a little bit away. That's still audible, but not too loud. Love that. Okay, so welcome to our monthly data meeting. Thank you guys for all being here. We've got a lot to cover today. If y'all can do me a favor and hit that sign up link. This is becoming increasingly important just so we can have a role of people who are active. And once we start voting on things down the line, this is helpful for us. So if you can sign in and are willing to, please do so. Let's see. Is this already set up? Let's give everyone a second, and then we'll hit the agenda. All good. All good. Yeah, okay. Hey, David, you ready to give your talk? Yeah, okay, cool. So we're going to have Dave give speak a few words about Mary again. Wanted to thank everybody who did what they could to honor her and go on the memorial ride. Sorry I missed it. But the words I heard from her mother were very gracious, and she was really glad that we were a part of her life. So I'll let David say a few things, and then we'll get into regular business.
Okay, keep in mind I quote the Bible a couple of times. I wrote some words just in case any of us were asked to speak at the funeral. So, Mark 12:30 and 31, love the Lord thy God and love thy neighbor as thyself. There is none other commandment greater than these. Since we can only truly see the interactions of the latter, I shall expound upon that. Now, Mary was a kind, caring, and loving woman. She looked after the people around her, whether it was calling her friends like Phyllis and making sure they were okay, or inviting people out for coffee or a gathering, bringing people together. Loving her neighbors included her whole community. She found a strong passion in advocating for public transit. I got to know quickly Mary through Dallas Area Transit Alliance. We were natural, quick friends. I always found conversation with her intelligent, compassionate, and simply enjoyable. Always a warm presence. Galatians 6:2, bear ye one another's burdens and so fulfill the law of Christ. Mary certainly did her part and carried her burdens and responsibility. She was not shy of hard work. As our event planning chair, she worked with full passion and effort, planning countless events which helped Data effectively slow down the threats on her beloved DART and even lead to new buses, an accomplishment she deserves due credit. Lastly, I want to share one of my last conversations with Mary. After a DART workshop that we had attended together, we went out for coffee. We exchanged similar stories, how, we lacked nearby friends. Many of our friends had moved away after college. It's tough socializing in suburbia, as we all know. And how we found new friends and new excitement with our involvement in Data. She was so happy to found a community, all of you. And she felt the embrace of everyone around her. We continue to embrace the wonderful life Mary led. Carry her spirit with you, a woman of community, a woman of compassion, and she was a woman of action. Thank you, Mary.
Okay. David, really appreciate that. Thanks, man. So next up, Kui, you're our guy for any announcements, upcoming stuff, at least till we get a new events chair.
All right, so sign in. So I want to introduce this. We have a new calendar that we added to the website. I want to thank Curtis for some of this as well, by the way. Curtis adding the this. Basically, we have added the calendar and it syncs with all of our events. Top link takes you to our calendar page. It takes you to Google Calendar directly. You can hit add to Google Calendar and you will get all of our events synced together. Bottom link is very simple. If you have Apple Calendar, you can add it to your Apple Calendar or whatever other calendar apps exist out there. And also on the left side, as you can see here, if you go to the Dallas Area Transit Alliance webpage, you can hit calendar on the upper right. Same thing, it'll be there. And I'll even show you guys. Let's do it. You can hit calendar. Yeah, I'm in dark mode, so don't roast me on this. And then you can, if I zoom in, watch this. Boom, it changes into an agenda view. I'm actually kind of happy about this, but that lets me lead into our upcoming events. So tomorrow we have our book club at, I don't remember how to pronounce this place, Dosa Paradiso in Addison. We're reading Human Transit. Hopefully we get to see everyone. After that, there's going to be a Mappy Hour where we're going to talk about OpenStreetMap. Monday, well, we'll talk more about this, but there is a Plano City Council meeting at 7 p.m. We're going to be flooding their public comments again, as we always do. Tuesday, we're going to be going to the dartboard meeting with the Plano buses plan. That'll be fun as well. And let's see, what else do I have on here? I think that's it. Okay. I'm not sure about this. There is a workshop on Plano's demands and governance on the 28th, but that hasn't been officially on a calendar event yet. So we will find out about that. And there's a critical mass at 7:30 p.m. if you want to join that. Yeah. It's at 8. I think I put it.
They gather at 7 and then they roll out at 8 o'clock is when they let go. So you'd be late.
Yeah, you'd be late if you showed up at 8. I'm gonna take it over and bring it to Con now, I think. Is that right?
I don't know. Things are out of order.
Things are out of order? Yeah. This is just a very quick topic, so we're fine about this.
Yeah.
So February, on the 14th, all the candidates have filed. And if you follow this link here, there's a spreadsheet of all the member cities, all the council members, all the people who are running for council and mayor. So you can take a look and, kind of figure out, where am I, who's running, the handy list. And can I click this? No. Okay. Well, take a look at that. We will be vetting these candidates. And there's some criteria that we use to judge the candidates. Basically, we have a questionnaire that's currently in draft form. We have sent out this questionnaire to some of the candidates. I think we got 1 or 2 responses already. We're also going to judge their voting record. If they have a previous voting record for that sales tax resolution, they're an automatic disqualification unless they backtrack it and they show genuine concern for DART service, that they actually want it to be better. And pre-existing statements they've made against DART. Sometimes even if it's not on the agenda, they'll just bring it up during a budget meeting. It's hard to capture that. It's hard to catch that. But if you find yourself on the video, watching a video of a city council meeting, just pay attention to that kind of stuff and make note of who makes those comments, and just kind of let us know because that'll tell us what their views are. Note that we are not officially endorsing candidates, as an organization, this criteria is used as a guideline to kind of show us who's in favor of Dart. Oh, and now that the candidates are set, try to look around and see what events they're going to. If there's any town halls, if there's any question and answer sessions, League of Women Voters sometimes does it. Sometimes they do it with the Texas Education Association. I think that's the name. Anyway, they don't have a union in this state. They're not allowed to. Anyway, look at various organizations, see if they're attending, try to attend, maybe ask a question if your number comes up, and see what the temperature is on Dart. Oh, and one other thing, looking at the draft bylaws. By the way, my name is Con Lee, policy chair, and my profession is I work for a construction company, and we do take Dart contracts. So I am letting you as a general body know that I do have some kind of financial relationship with Dart, and with the draft bylaws, I am required to disclose that to you guys. And if there is an issue, please let us know, and we'll deal with it. Thank you.
Okay, who's next? Is it moving into exec reports?
I don't know. It's whatever's on the phone.
Looks like this is you, Kona.
All right, I'm gonna go back. That was supposed to be the big reveal. Wait, so all good. Am I at the appropriate distance from the mic? Cool. So I just show of hands. How many of you have heard the big news that dropped yesterday? I think that's everyone in the room. Possibly, yeah. For the most part, wow. So you're all already aware. I feel like we've been talking about this for months. Legislation is coming. Legislation is coming. Well, it's finally here. We finally have the bill. I want to give everyone a shout out who so many of you have been reading this bill, dissecting it since 2 p.m. yesterday until 2 a.m. I did not sleep very well last night. I was reading it. Legislation's hard to read. It's very hard to read, but so many of you were up texting about it, hopping on, calling about it. So a lot of you have already called your reps. I've heard, you know, we've got some responses. So good job, everyone who is helping with this. It is like 10 people at least, probably more. And yeah, I'm very tired, and it's thanks to this news we got yesterday. So the bill is HB 3187. There's a Senate equivalent. That's like, you know, something different. I don't know. We're going to just call it by the House bill just for simplicity's sake. So that way people don't need to remember two different bills. So keep that in mind. We're going to refer to this by HB 3187 when we call our reps. You could also give it like a nickname. I was thinking the Dart Destruction Act, because that's what this is. And by the way, this legislation, we were expecting this to be bad, but this surpassed our expectations on how bad this is. It's really bad. So let's get into the details. First, it will cut Dart's funding by 25%. Caveat. There's an important caveat here. Can I close this? The caveat is that this cut won't occur till after the bonds are paid. So all the bonds that were issued under the current sales tax collection, the 1%, that the cut won't happen until those are paid. So real quick, you think, okay, so if this bill passes, it'll be a problem 20 years from now. No. No. Anyways, so this means after the bonds are paid, Darts would collect 0.75% sales tax, but we're not in the clear until then because there's another aspect of this bill that would take effect immediately, and that would be the General Mobility Fund. And we've talked about this before. The General Mobility Fund would allow cities to take back 25% of their sales tax contribution and spend it on roads or other transportation related projects but they would spend it on non-transit related things. It would no longer be going to DART. Yeah. So, and that would take effect immediately, which means this general mobility comes into effect immediately. This comes into effect like 20 years from now or however long it takes for the bonds to be paid. When you add those two together, that would be a 44% reduction in DART's funding. Which, yeah, they said it would be 25%, but the way this legislation is written, it would actually be 44, which is just, yeah, it is so much worse than we ever thought possible. Another aspect, it allows cities to hold withdrawal elections every 3 years as opposed to every 6. And this is really annoying because they also added that DART can't issue bonds when an election is pending until they see the results of that, which is just so all these cities can just be holding these elections. It'll really get in DART's way for doing any capital spending at all. Yeah, so it prevents issuing long-term debt while a withdrawal election is pending. And here's another kicker that just makes things worse. All future bonds are backed by only 0.75% sales tax rate. This will make borrowing more expensive. The debt would have to have a higher interest rate because it's not backed by 1 penny, it's backed by 3/4. So it makes everything DART tries to do more expensive. This is a lot of details. This is an information dense slide. So is everyone clear on it for the most part though? Go for it. Hey, where's our yeah.
Oh yeah. Now I have this one. Who was it? You are? Who asked the question?
Rohan.
Oh, really? Yeah. Oh.
All right.
Okay, I'll be back.
So my question was, as you said, with cities holding withdrawal election every 3 years, I assume Plano is gonna be like the first one to be like "Mwah," about it, maybe.
I don't know. We'll see.
But then
I presumably they did this so they could get out of DART sooner. Yeah, Irving, Plano, they could all do it. So
my question was, with the prevents issuing long-term debt while withdrawal election is pending, as you said, like DART can't show results only every 3 years because that's so short of a time frame for them to actually make effective action. Is
Yeah,
that what's you're trying to say?
so they can't get new debt. Their existing debt, as soon as they issue bonds, that has to get paid back. And if it's backed by a certain sales tax rate, that can't really change. So, but they want to be able to hold a withdrawal election, and they don't want DART to go into more debt till the results of that are clear, I guess.
And so this just makes it harder because it's every 3 years because it's more and more frequent.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, it would definitely make it harder for DART to issue long-term debt because they'd have to wait more. Yeah, that logically follows, yes. So next time DART wants to buy new trains or something, they might have to wait for some random withdrawal election because one of their 13 members decided to do it.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Actually, I have a question.
Yeah. you put that in the meeting notes?
Yeah. So following on from Rohan's question, the pullout opportunities are once every 3 years for every city, and not one city can try it any year, only once in a 3-year span. Like we can't have Irving do it 1 year, Plano do it the next year, and then basically just have an endless loop of,
Thankfully that I don't think would happen.
okay,
That would make Dart not be tomorrow.
anything, anything.
We would have
Uh,
to reread that.
Yeah, we should
Yeah.
double check. I saw your hand up. And then Andrew. How many questions we taking, Connor? Is this kind of
Just
open?
like if anyone's confused, I want to prioritize
Okay.
that. Is anyone really confused?
Excuse me, I'm just running late. Who is the sponsor for 3187? Is it out of committee on the floor and what does it look like?
Okay. So this slide is a pretty good breakdown, I think. So this is kind of what the bill looks like. It's actually 6 pages. So we had to condense it. It is sponsored by Matt Shaheen. Yeah, in the House. Now the Senate equivalent, which I don't have the name of right here. 1557. I can see you're writing it down, but the Senate equivalent was filed by Angela Paxton. So it's Angela. So Angela Paxton and Matt Shaheen are behind this. The Senate version of the bill has co-sponsors. Those co-sponsors are Senator Pan Parker and Senator Hagenbush.
think it's
Brent
Brent.
Hagenbush.
Any other questions? It was just filed yesterday, so it's brand new.
No.
If it's even.
No, 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 no.
Yeah.
All right, so I'm gonna ask. Oh yeah, and it's filed. It's been filed. It's not been assigned to committee. It was filed at 2 o'clock yesterday. So
Imagine if they had Monday after.
well, if they, it was inconvenient for me. If they had done it a little earlier, I would have gotten sleep last night.
Fair enough.
So, is there anyone who's confused about details of the legislation?
I'm good. Okay, I will get to R in just a second. John, you got something for us?
So, what your point, Tyler, you said that they can't do. I guess it's a question of, is there explicit language preventing them from holding an election every year to pull out? Like any city holding like an election year over year, like coordinated effort to hold a yearly election somewhere in Dart to pull out of Dart. I mean, I'm talking about, is it specifically prohibited? They can't do that. Okay.
Okay, so it's on intervals. That's good to know.
Okay. Excuse me.
Trinity Metro.
Unaffected for the most part.
So, as a point of clarity on the general mobility fund aspect, so when you say allows cities to take back up to 25%, is the exact rate set on a city by city
So-
basis, or does DART set it and it's?
So let's say your city pays $100 million to DART, they'd be able to take back 25 million. If your city paid $10 million to DART, they'd take back 2.5 million. So it is the same rate, but it's proportional to the amount you spend.
I'm just asking, is it mandatory that the cities take this, or?
Oh, no, this is a weird part of the bill. If the city doesn't take it back, DART has to put that money in this like fund that can be used to pay down debt that's backed by the 1%. That's backed by bonds issued under the 1% rate. So to answer your question, that money could not go into operation and maintenance, which is what we care about. What we care about is that this leads to less spending opportunities in O&M.
We still doing good time?
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
I think so. Yeah, we are.
So just to make sure I know
we're on the same page, or I'm on the same page when we talk to these people. The motive for paying down debt is not so much fiscal responsibility, but more of just to race faster towards that first bullet point, which was cutting DART's funding by 25% because it's contingent on paying off our current debt obligation. Is that right?
Yeah, that is right. Though I'm not an expert in municipal bonds. The issue has been raised to me that you can't really pay back municipal debt like a car loan. You can't just pay it down faster, but there might be some ways to do it. But this legislation is so new, so a lot of these finer details people are still figuring out and reading it over, including us. So, but that does seem to be the motivation, is they get their money back faster by creating this fund that can pay this sales tax.
Yes.
Or
So
the-
hi, I'm Patrick. I spent a lot of time digging through this last night with Connor and other people in the Discord. Yeah, there's a section of the bill that basically says, so that the first section that creates the mobility fund, that unused funds from that 25% have to go into a special account that can only be used to pay back the debt. That has to be on top of DART's regular debt payments. And when that fund eclipses the remaining amount of the bonds, then DART can lower its sales tax rate down to 0.75. So a bunch of sections in this bill are trying to get around the fact that 1% of the tax rate is pledged in those bond covenants. So DART's legally obligated to keep their tax rate at 1% as long as those bonds exist. So they're trying to accelerate that and get those bonds paid back as fast as possible.
All right, I think let's take one more question and we're gonna have to move on.
Hold.
Did the election already happen? Oh, okay.
Okay, then this one's on me. If House Bill 3187 is primarily impacting DART, then why is there a Denton House member? Why is a co-author from Denton? Because shouldn't residents in Denton also be concerned? I mean, I know personally that Denton is very supportive of DCTA. So I'm a UNT student, so of course I'm paying tuition into the buses, and in return I get a bus pass on my ID. But shouldn't we in Denton be concerned about HB 3187
Yeah.
as well?
So
Because of the Denton co-author?
Denton's co-author was, he's a senator, and really these reps can do whatever they want. A lot of these representatives that put their name on this bill do not live in the DART service area. It's tough, Paxton's in McKinney and Parker's in Flower Mound. Now these people do represent parts of the DART service area, so that's the argument you can make. But Hagenbush really hardly represents a tiny slither of Plano and Carrollton, and that's it. So, yeah. So, Hagenbush's inclusion was surprising to me because it doesn't seem like much of a concern to much of his constituency. But I'm gonna move on to the next slide now. So 44%, like this is gonna kill DART. This is like not. I mean, like you might be like technically, oh well, DART will be okay, but they won't be. They're gonna be just running really old equipment that's breaking down all the time. Most of the surface is gonna be gone. It is just so bad. Like 25% was bad enough. Under 25%, we would have seen light rail service cut in half. 30-minute headways on light rail. That's it. 19 bus routes would have been eliminated. Bus frequencies on the remaining routes would have been like cut in half in many cases. And many go-link zones would have just gone away entirely. Another aspect of this that just makes it worse is federal funding, federal grants that DART gets and qualifies for is contingent on maintaining a state of good repair. But when you see a 25% cut or a 44% cut, maintaining a state of good repair becomes really hard, if not impossible, which means we also lose out on federal funding. So And federal grants also require local matches, like 20% match. So if we can't put up the local match, we can't get federal funding. And DART also has these upcoming expenses like bus replacement and light rail replacement. They've got to find, they're going to have to spend $700 million on replacing the train. The light rail is too old. And to cut their budget so severely, finding room from that is going to mean serious sacrifices in all parts of the system. This bill is bad. This bill is really, really bad. So now more than ever, you have to call your state reps. And I have some samples here of what you can say. You can be like, hi, my name is so-and-so. I oppose HB 3187. This bill will cut DART's budget by 25% and 44% in the long term, but the immediate effect is a 25% reduction because of the mobility fund. But yeah, this bill would cut DART's budget by 25%, but DART is important to me because of XYZ, so I oppose this legislation. That's just like a little sentence to kind of give you an idea of what you can say. That's all you have to say is this up here. But if you want to have a longer conversation, a more policy-oriented conversation with your state rep, you can like ask some questions if their office has heard of this, if they have opinions on it. And if you really want to, one argument a lot of people have been saying is like, this is a local issue. This legislation concerns itself with how local dollars are spent on a local system. The state should not be involved in how local dollars are spent on a local system. So that's something else you can say. Really, you can say whatever you want. But what's really important is you say, I oppose HB 3187. So that way they can log that down. So yeah, you can call your reps, you can have a 1-minute conversation or a 5-minute conversation, however you want to do it, whatever you're comfortable with. Hopefully this slide gives you some of those tools to do that. Yeah, I just said that.
The Black History Edition tonight. Oldest children first and their families starting right now.
All right. I'm going to answer questions at the end, but your question might be answered by these slides. So more details. Everyone's down in Austin right now. I find that the Austin offices are really responsive. So go ahead and call their Austin office. But you can try both. Call between 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. on weekdays. If you don't, it'll just go to voicemail. And I actually encourage everyone this weekend to go ahead and call their state reps so we can flood their voicemail. So they come back and they're like, oh, why are there like 10 calls about DART here? Or, it might be full. Yeah, but I prefer that everyone get a hold of a person and say, I oppose, so we know it's been recorded. If you don't like phone calls, or if you cannot get a hold of their office, it's just supposed to say you can email them instead. That's fine. If phone calls are just kind of the gold standard, but emails are still great. So I say call, but if that's not what you're about, emailing is okay too. Snail mail works, but yeah, it takes time. Okay. So I'm noticing there's a lot of questions. Again, we'll see if there's time for, but yeah, this is like no longer optional. Like we have to do this. DART will not survive this legislation. And I mean, if they even do survive, it'd be in such a terrible state. The whole system would be rendered useless. So now is the time to voice your concerns with your state representatives as much as you can, especially because we have a bill we can name, HB 3187. Now that we have the legislation, it's actually kind of clear that the goal was to just kind of destroy DART. Plano, they could have just tried to leave, but they're kind of pulling everyone down with them. you know? They're just taking the system out. So, and I really want to emphasize this. If you need help contacting your state reps, you can always go in the group me or whatever, and you can ask, and someone will help you. I will help you. We can find who your representative is. We can send you their phone number. We can tell you what to say. No shame in asking us. No shame in putting it out there in the group chat. Hey, I need help contacting my rep, or I need help drafting this email. Just ask, please, and we will help you. Okay, so let's see. These are other phone numbers that are out there. So these are not going to be your representatives because they're kind of out. Well, some of them might be, but these are kind of just important people who are, I'll explain. So Tom Craddock might be a familiar name. He's been in Texas politics for a long time, but he's the current House Transportation Chair. So you can call him, even though you're not in his district, you can tell his office that, but you can be like, hey, my personal plan when reaching out to all these people is that this is like a local issue regarding local funding that the state does not need to be involved in. But yeah, you can call, he's a transportation chair. This bill will likely make it to transportation committee. Terry Canales, he's the House Transportation Funding Chair, which is a different committee. But yeah, it's a subcommittee. Yeah. I don't know if this bill will go to transportation or transportation funding. It'll go to one of those two, though. So Tom Craddock or Terry Canales might just have the opportunity to kill this legislation before it even goes to vote. Perez Mary Ann, she's the House Transportation. Sorry, I wrote this at 2 a.m. She's the House Transportation Vice Chair. So this is the chair, this is the vice chair. Matt Shaheen, he's the person who filed this bill. And so did like Paxton. So you can call them if you want. But this is all kind of extra credit. Focus on your own representatives first and foremost. Or if you know your representative's good, but you want to spend some time advocating for this, these are some other offices you can call. And then Robert Nicholas, he's the Senate Transportation Chair. So kind of like how Tom Craddock's the House Transportation Chair, he's the Senate Transportation Chair. Feel free, if you just have some extra times and you've contacted your reps, contact these people as well if you want. Oh, I forgot I added this. I was having fun with this. It would just HB 3187 will destroy Dart. People might try to say, well, technically it won't destroy Dart. It might as well destroy Dart. It's bad. Yeah, it's Dart. The system's not going to be usable if this bill passes. Okay. All right. That's the legislation breakdown. I think we need to answer any more questions people have.
So, when we contact our representatives, is there a recommendation for how often we do it? Like once a day, once a week, until they respond to us?
Don't do once a day. Because that will that might annoy them. Yeah, he's worked in an office before. He'll know what to do.
Okay, guys, for the love of God, do not call them every day. They will ignore you and not take you seriously. A good rule of thumb would be like maybe every couple of weeks, and you can now if something new happens where it's moving quickly, okay, then you can follow up, the next day or in a couple of days in a shorter time frame. If something's changing and things are moving too fast and you want them to slow things down, halt it. But otherwise, like once every 2 weeks is good. I think me and Tyler, we're going to be working on getting some like cookie cutter things for y'all to say to your reps if you're needing help with that. Again, please reach out to us on Discord and GroupMe for any help or details.
Just a quick extra question. What if you get their voicemail? Is it okay to call more often if you get a voicemail and you're just trying to get to a real human, or is it still do you still want to limit to once or twice a week or once every other week?
Yeah, don't leave tons of voicemails either. Go ahead and leave a voicemail and ask them to call you back that you want to speak to a staff member. And usually they'll do it, but feel free to call the next day and try to get a hold of a person if that's your goal. Just don't leave a voicemail every day. Just leave one voicemail and then keep calling if you feel like you want to get a hold of a person. But again, you want to annoy them a little, but not too much that they just put you in a do not answer list, because that's a thing. If you're like super annoying, they'll just they just won't answer you. They'll ignore you. So pace yourself.
I want to ask, so like, while you don't want to leave a voicemail every day, you do want to leave more than one if you're just not getting a hold, I think, right? Like you can leave another one if you're, and it's okay to call as many times as you want until you get a hold of someone. Just don't flood their voicemail. Yeah.
Tess, Gary, you
And
go.
be respectful to these people. They're going to be very nice to you. They're,
You're working with, you're going to be talking to like an intern or a caseworker or some sort. They're public servants, so please treat them with respect, and it'll carry you far with getting to know your rep or your rep staff.
Yeah, thanks for the overview, Connor. I know you'd mentioned that Morgan Meyer seemed supportive of DART. I would imagine that this is pretty partisan, like in terms of who's supportive versus not supportive, or it's going to end up that way. Is there maybe some value in a strategy that would like get as many, even if it's just one or two Republicans on board, to say that like they have them support DART so that it doesn't just become this the left versus right thing that I'm sure it's headed towards?
yeah, well, I think we're going to avoid that partisanship, thankfully. We know Angie Chin Button's also very, very pro DART.
Kind of speak on that as well.
Yeah, so we do think we hope it won't be partisan. If it's partisan, this fails, right? So that's
Yes.
nonpartisan. I'm also hopeful for other reps now that we have this bill. Like a lot of reps, they'll call and be like, I can't really give opinion on legislation that doesn't exist. And that's honestly fair. Now it exists, so we can really start finding that out. But I'm hopeful. Katrina Pearson used to be an advocate for DART. There's the fact that there's no co-sponsors in the House that might be telling of something. I'm not sure.
Right. So I share that concern. I think we definitely want to keep this from getting thrown into partisanship. So I think a good strategy will be coming up with important talking points to certain conservatives. I think talking about the bonds will be a good first step with that.
Yeah. All right. Well, we've got a lot of questions.
How quick is your question? Oh, yeah, we have a few other people up, but yes. Okay, our first.
This bill fails. How do we prevent it from reappearing again in the next legislative session?
Mike failed. Did you guys hear that?
Yeah, so he asked if this bill fails, how do we prevent it from appearing again? Well, we'll have 2 years to figure that out. That's the good news. And we will have to educate council members and be proactive on that and talking to them about how good DART is, because DART gets, I think there's a lot of misunderstanding. I think DART's better than most city council members realize. So that's, I think we just have to educate them.
So, as you said, Brent Hagenbush is on the bill and supports it, right?
He's a co-sponsor, yes.
Yeah. I live in Brent Hagenbush's district in Frisco. How am I going to ask him to not support the bill since he's behind it?
You can always just use a regular script, but he is a co-sponsor. He put his name on it, so it's going to be harder to back him down, but please still call him. I don't know if there's advice that's specific to if they sponsored or co-sponsored it.
Yeah, I'll try it out.
Okay. Okay, Warren's next.
When it gets referred to committee, does it go to both the House and Senate committees at the same time, or will it go to House first and then only Senate if it passes the House?
I don't think it necessarily has to go to the House first or the Senate first. Here's something I need to say.
They filed in both houses simultaneously, so it'll get referred to. There's the House version and the Senate version. They're independent of each other. They can both work their way through the process at the same time.
Yeah. Now, I will say, when this gets referred to committee, I mean, we're going to find out about that pretty quickly. We need to be prepared to testify against it. So again, keep your time off PTO safe. Be prepared to take a trip to Austin. We should have at minimum 5 days in advance notice, hopefully more. But yes, be prepared to go to Austin, and we might go to Austin before it's referred to committee, just to do like a lobbying day type thing. Now that we have the bill, we can do that. So we're probably going to work out those details and hopefully get a couple of us down to Austin, or maybe a lot of us. So.
Questions. Who's financially benefiting from 3187? Because it can't just be done out of spite. Somebody's actually has to make a buck off this. Second question, the reps who are already doing the devil's work, what about a protest at their office just to make a scene?
Okay, so for your first question, what this is really, really about is, my understanding is that these cities just want more money and they're struggling with property tax, not growing fast enough. So they're just kind of looking to sales tax, and they're looking at DART and be like, I want that money for my city budget. And this is like a movement of, really, there's a reason why you're only really seeing city councils and city managers talk about it. It's because they just see this as an easy piggy bank to figure out their financial woes. For your second question, a protest, I am personally not comfortable protesting. It's not for me. If it's something we want to do, I'm open to discussing doing it. I am a fan of talking to staffers. I feel like I feel empowered by it. I feel like it's done a lot for me. So I'm not saying we can't do protests, but we would have to consider it, and I'd have to really think about it. And if we're going to go down to Austin or these people's offices, I just like having conversations. So.
Offices, like Sheehan, there's sponsors up here, not the ones down there.
Oh, right. They have local offices too. It's something we can think about for sure. Yeah, we don't have any plans to do that yet, though.
Some of us have concepts of a plan. So
we have
there will be things. Okay, who am I working my way to?
I was just going to say, real briefly, whenever I'm communicating with Republicans, I always speak Republican, meaning I talk about having choices, having options, having the ability to choose how to get somewhere. And I try to be preemptive about that, because the whole point of the automobile people is to talk about personal freedom. And what they're really saying is personal freedom to have only one way to get places, so I always preempt that and talk about options and choices.
Yeah, and a valid argument is always, I don't like this bill, it will make my life worse, That's something I'll throw out there.
Yeah, that's what I said yesterday.
So to add on I think it was brought up over here about if this comes up in a future cycle. We are heading towards a midterm soon around that time, and I think there's 16 Senate seats up and 150 House seats in Texas. So who usually there's a midterm swing the other direction. So I don't know if they'd probably try to get in right now while they have the numbers in their favor. Now, related to that, the problem with a protest in part, that partisanship that we're trying to avoid because the Reds have a 2/3 majority in basically both houses of Texas. If you make a big enough protest, they're going to look at that and say, this is just going to fall on party lines. At that point, this passes instantly.
Yeah, that we don't want to. All right, so we got to watch out for time. So let's
He hasn't spoken yet.
Okay, yeah. And David after and Hexel.
The question: where'd the 44% come from? Because I understand the 25.
So okay, you take 25% of their funding, and then you're left with 0.75% sales tax, and then the cities are then allowed to take 25% of their contribution and get it back. So 25% of the 75%. Yeah. The 44% reduction would be more of a long-term thing. The immediate reduction would be 25%.
Excellent.
I don't know what the rest of you think about, but I think that getting to the city councils of every one of our other cities and getting some real action in our favor from them in the forms of resolutions to say, no, this is not good. Get your city councils to work on this because it will destroy Dart and it will be an economic disaster for the city of Dallas. And I think that there's an awful lot of people who do not understand that aspect of it. So I need something to get with our city councils and get some positive action from all of our city councils of our other cities to sustain this and get to come forth and say, we don't want this bill to pass.
So some good news there. We're expecting a vote for a resolution to support Dart in Addison on Tuesday. So that's a start, but he's correct.
As a very quick comment on the ideas or comments around protests. So if protest is not a cup of tea, a demonstration by another name is we could have, for the time that we're there, a press conference, which is basically, if you take the protest model, just imagine you're holding signs, you have your t-shirts, but it's on the steps, on a scheduled time. And what's cool about having a press conference, speaking from experience, is that it gives you something like the news, the journalists or media can latch onto and report on. And it also gives anybody who's like on the fence, like any staffers or any representatives who like want to like come to us or like have the opportunity to come to us and see the energy for themselves, gives them something that they can see and look forward to. And to speak to like the effectiveness of that, like some of you have like seen my quotes appear in like the City Limits book by Meg Kimball. And so press conferences, that's how I got, that was my start. And then people were able to pick me up and notice me because of that press conference when I was protesting the expansion of I-35. So I would definitely, we may have feelings about protests, but by another name, press conferences are quite effective.
All right. We had this idea just before the meeting, Rohan and I thought it'd be a good idea for our social media. Do you want to? Okay. All right. Yeah. He's going to start recording, and when he does, I think I'll just ask, what's everyone's opinion, or how do we feel about HB 3187? And then you all react once he's filming. All right. No. Well, we want. Yeah. So, all right. All right. Let me know when you're recording.
What do we think about this House bill? Get that bill out of here.
Yeah.
Hey, Connor, I feel bad. I didn't let Curtis ask his question earlier. Is it covered? Okay, cool. So we're good.
So, on to our next topic. We are going to now leave the conversation about this. This is the most important thing we had to cover. Please call your reps. Next topic. Plano. Oh, okay. Never mind. We're not talking about Plano yet. Okay.
Woo!
Whoa, I think I clicked on something.
There it is. Yeah, you have it.
Okay, cool. All right. Okay, cool. So, we are having a special election, to fill our currently vacant events planning chair, executive committee, position. So, the term would be from today until the next data election, which would be on or around the 21st of, that's September. This person would have a co-chair with them. That's something that I'll get into a little bit later when I talk about our bylaw, the updates I've made to our bylaws. We currently have 3 candidates. This election will use ranked choice voting. Candidates must reach 50% of the vote. If one candidate does not reach 50% by the first round, the one with fewer votes will be eliminated, and the votes will be redistributed among the final 2 candidates. So it's basically an instant runoff system. And in the unlikely event that there's a tie after the second round, then we'll have a runoff election. We have 3 candidates, Jonathan Hoover, Quile, and Daniel A. Rodriguez. Were we going to give people time to get up and speak? Or yeah, the QR code has their each candidate's profiles, etc., and I believe is also that's a link to the next slide. Okay. Right. Got it. Yeah, so we'll give you a few minutes to review each of the candidates. And then after that, I will move to the next slide where the actual voting link is. And if you need any help with that, yeah, if somebody could help. Sure. Why don't while everybody's reading, why don't we have each of the candidates come up here and just like 1 minute max, just a quick blurb. Jonathan. Jonathan.
Test. Okay, thank you guys for your patience here. This is a special election, our very first special election. So any feedback would be welcome after if you guys have some thoughts on how we need to run it. But for now, I'll pass the mic over to Jonathan. Are you ready to talk?
No.
No?
No.
Okay, cool.
Whoa.
Here, take a mic. Yeah, we have 3 mics, literally anyone.
I will be giving each of you 1 minute on this timer here to talk. So, whenever you're ready.
Hi, my name's Jonathan Hoover. I'm running for the event planning chair. I'm stumbling on my words right now, but when I ran the first time, when me and Mary ran, and I unsurprisingly lost, I promised Mary that I would help her out, and I feel like I've not done a great job. And I feel like I owe it back to her to run again and do a better job this time around. Or I mean, do a better job at helping Data out with their event planning duties. And yeah, that's all.
So part of it, I'm just gonna read from what I wrote because it's mostly pretty good. So give me a second and pull that up here.
So first off, most of you guys know I'm Kui. I have been your system administrator for the while, but I want to go some of my background. I was formerly working in hospitality administration before the pandemic, unfortunately. One of my majors was, of course, ironically, event planning. So I was focusing on event planning and hospitality management. And I have been planning a lot of events within data before we elected an event chair. And I also help Mayor from time to time with some of the things that might be more related to just the same time. I just want to help you guys run events, and we want to make these events big as we grow into a bigger organization. I think we're like, what, 150 people now? So we want to grow to the bigger side. Thanks.
Hi guys, my name is Daniel A. Rodriguez and I'm a data member pretty much. But I want to go over really want to go over on background, but to be honest, I want to speak by heart. So my one quote, I want to go on what it's saying that the bill will destroy economic development, but it has something better. It will destroy quality of life. Not only that, so if you vote for me as event chair, I will make sure that DART will not fall. I'll make sure it will stand for where it was. I'll make sure I will create a lot of events. I will help a lot of social media, and plus I will continue to carry Mary's legacy. So vote for me.
All right. Now that we've heard from each of our candidates, this link here will be the link for the election. Kui, do you have the? No. I mean where the results get tabulated. Okay, gotcha. We want to cut off. I guess we can, while people are doing this, we can go through other things on the agenda.
Let's just go through some business.
Yeah. All right. While y'all are doing that, we'll give y'all till I think. What do you think? The top of the hour or something? Yeah. We'll close it off at 3. But while that's going, we do have one other bit of business that we do need everybody here for. Well, I should do this. I'll just keep an eye on the chat. Okay.
Anybody needs voting?
Okay. Okay. Does anybody else need assistance with voting? Anybody here raise your hand if you have not voted yet? Okay, just one, just waiting on 2 people, 3 people. Okay. Anybody else? Anybody else has not finished voting yet? All right. Looks like if anybody hasn't voted yet, speak now, or we will close off the election. Seems like we're good. Okay. Close form. Close the form. The form is closed. Hey, everybody. All right, before we close this off, we will be, just want to point out, we will be verifying the list of voters against our membership roll for when you signed in, just to make sure that there's not any, not any accidental double voting or et cetera. This is the projected winner. This is the decision desk projection. Yeah, I apologize. I'm not wearing khakis and pointing at a big green screen. But we are ready to announce the result.
One last check. If anybody not voted.
I think we're good.
Okay. Bring our attention back to the front. Right. That's okay. I like the Okay, everyone, we're pulling it back in. Grab a seat. Okay, I've got him here, or do you want to announce him from here? This is you, so.
All right, so pending verification against our registered list of members, looks like the winner of the committee chair of the event planning chair is Quile. Congratulations. No,
We're not doing that.
We have other stuff we need to get.
We've got a lot to do.
Second bit of business. Not right now. Not right now. Also, it's also still just the projection. So we'll verify everything, and there will be another announcement sent out. The other thing, so per our draft bylaws, which we're going to start trying to abide by, even we haven't adopted them yet, but we're still trying to follow procedure as much as we can. The executive committee has nominated a person for parliamentarian. That is Patrick. I'm so sorry. Last name. Patrick Morgan. And per our bylaws, we now need to put him up for a approval, just a simple thumbs up, thumbs down approval vote with the membership. So with that, I suppose.
Hey, Patrick, turn around real quick. I don't want you to see this. Turn around.
Yeah. So all those in favor of Patrick Morgan being our parliamentarian for data? Any opposed? Okay, the ayes have it.
Congratulations.
And with that, I think we will now return to our reports.
Okay.
Because we have a lot more.
So Plano buses then?
Okay. Exciting stuff. Well, that was a good break, because now we're gonna have to go back into policy details again. Oh, what did? Okay. So There's currently Plano. All right, we good? Okay. So Plano asked DART to get rid of all their buses. Like, I'm not joking. They just asked them to do that. I mean, they're still paying for DART currently in the present day. So that seems like a weird ask. They then asked DART to take those resources they were spending on bus routes in Plano and put it into GoLink. Yeah. It's a bad idea. Now, let's get into it. This is currently what Plano looks like today. This is their DART service. We got about 7 bus routes. Really, there's like a few more, but they kind of just touch the edge of Plano. But 7 like core bus routes that go all around the city. They primarily use GoLink. And for Plano, this is kind of okay. So GoLink is like more expensive per rider, but it helps them cover areas where there may not be the demand for fixed route bus service, or the street pattern makes it hard to serve through traditional fixed route. So yeah, we have these 2 east-west bus routes. This one's hard to see. This is the 234. 234 is an important character in this story. It's kind of in between these 2 GoLink zones. So yeah, Plano. So DART they didn't necessarily agree to it, but their service planning was going to do an analysis on what citywide GoLink looks like. So DART's staff, just figuring out the logistics, not taking a side necessarily, came up with this, a 3-step plan to implement citywide GoLink. And this isn't voted on or anything yet, so it's not happening. But here's what it looks like. Step 1, add citywide GoLink. As you can see, these bus routes are untouched. This costs 4.5 to 10.8 million, like you can just say 5 to 11 million, 4 to 10 million, whatever, to implement per year. So that's a big range, 4.5 million to 10.8 million. That range is dependent on how many bus riders switch to GoLink once that option is available for their trip. So 4.5 million kind of represents the scenario where most people who ride the bus still ride the bus and don't switch to the new GoLink service. 10.8 million assumes most of the bus riders kind of just stop riding and take the GoLink instead. Based on history, though, we know when you add GoLink to a place where there's already a bus route, bus riders typically stay on the route. Real quick, does everyone know what GoLink is? Does anyone not know? We'll talk about it. We'll talk about it. But does anyone not know what GoLink is? Does anyone know? So, I mean, it's just funded. DART does. Yeah. DART pays for GoLink.
Reddit says that GoLink drivers, they typically are on the Uber app, you get a GoLink request, and know it's not getting stuff.
So
this is what's basically right.
Oh,
yeah.
So I've heard from Uber drivers, some of them can tell when it's GoLink. But I don't know, maybe that's changed.
If they know it's like there's like food or things about like
Yeah.
And
But it seems like we all know how GoLink works, and that's what's important for this discussion. Yes, GoLink is a subsidized taxi service. Otis, do you know what GoLink is?
Are these questions or statements? What's
Okay,
your question?
If they don't know what GoLink is.
Specifically related to GoLink.
We're not talking about the citywide. Yeah. So we're gonna get into that.
We're getting to that. Tammy? That's nobody's fault. But well, we know how it. We know.
No, but how the share thing works, that it's gonna take longer than to get to the station. And then the GPS doesn't work very well with it. So,
Yeah, I think Connor will cover that.
okay.
But
Okay.
but yeah.
Yeah.
Question? Is it a question? Okay, no, no,
we're gonna have discussion on this. Don't worry. I just want to make sure everyone knew the definitions before we got into this. Okay. So this step one, like I said, costs like $5 to $10 million. It maintains all bus routes, and it meets Plano's request for citywide GoLink. So in my mind, this is actually not that big of a deal. Because while yes, we have citywide GoLink, that's not really a bad thing as long as it's not coming at the cost of existing bus service. It's like, okay, I can still ride my bus if it's more convenient for me. Trust me, it is. In a lot of cases, at least. So this is not bad. So what does step 2 look like? So step 2, we will see the elimination of both of the Plano's east-west bus routes. Route 234 and 254 gone. 5 bus routes remaining. This would cost $7.3 million per year to 9.7. We go back. This costs 4 to 10. This is 7 to 9. Why would it be more expensive to have citywide GoLink and less buses? Yes, so DART has to. If you kill the buses, all of those riders who are currently on a bus, maybe you have like 10 of them with one driver and sometimes a days, or 15 or 20 or 5, whatever the case is, they now have to request a GoLink driver. So DART needs to pay for more Uber rides to accommodate these bus passengers who no longer have a bus. That is why. Now the upper end is only 9.7 million. So there's a scenario where this is actually a little cheaper than step 1. But here's step 3. This is like step 3 sees nearly all bus routes like are gone. So they keep Route 241 and 239. To DART, too many people ride these buses. It just doesn't make sense to serve these trips with GoLink. There's way too many people on these buses. This Route 236, before the Route 236 kind of served all this side of Plano. Now it's just stopping at the border between Dallas. It just stops at the edge of Plano. So let's say you're on the Route 236, right? You want to ride maybe over here. Currently, you can maybe get on in like Dallas or whatever, get on the bus. You follow my mouse movements, get off right here. You're good to go. Under step 3, you get on the Route 236, you get off here. You now have to wait for a GoLink driver to pick you up and take you over here. Your trip just got way worse, right? So it also removes the Route 247. So the Route 247 would stop at City Line Bush Station, whereas before it went through downtown Plano and all the way to Parker Road. This right here costs $11 million minimum, $11 to $13 million. So if you're paying attention, at step 3's cheapest, absolute cheapest, it would cost $11 million. Step 1 at its most expensive, but it would cost 10.8. It is cheaper to keep the buses than it is to remove them. Let me repeat. It is cheaper to keep the buses than it is to remove them. So I watched the board meeting where this was first discussed, and Plano's reps did not give their opinion on this. They didn't comment on any of this. So it's really hard to know exactly how Plano's reacting, but from what I can gather, they might actually still be interested in step 3 over step 1. We don't know for sure though. But this is like the worst option. Step 3 is the worst option. Not only is it the worst option, it's also the most expensive. So here's some problems with this. Now, a lot of you are DART riders, so you kind of already understand this. But for some of you, it's like, well, why wouldn't I just go for this Uber service when I could just get on why would I ride a bus when I could get on an Uber? Tammy's shaking her head. There are reasons why you might want to take a bus, even when there's a GoLink available, or even when you could call an Uber. Here's one good example. Routes 234 and 254 are timed at the light rail. Here's my chart here. A red line may arrive at Parker Road at 4:16, and then the 254 will leave at 4:20. This is a 4-minute wait, but if I call a GoLink, I might need to wait 10, 15, sometimes even if it's really bad, like 30 minutes before it can come to pick me up. So in the time it takes for me to wait for a GoLink, I would already be done with my trip on the fixed route bus because it's a timed transfer. Dart set the system up so you do not have to wait. That's reason why, number one, why GoLink replacement's bad. Side note, this kind of staggering of buses where the 234 leaves at 4:40, then the 254 leaves at 5. This is a really cool trick Dart will do sometimes to reduce your wait times because some trips can be accomplished on both of these routes. So you get like, it's a cool thing, but. Reason number 2, we discussed this. Shortening routes 247 and 236 will inconvenience riders. So, like I said, if I want to travel over here on the route 236, well, all this in red is gone. I now need to call a GoLink. Instead of just getting a 1-seat ride on the bus, I have to interface with 2 systems. It's just worse. Same for the 247. So shortening these bus routes, not a good idea. And as we mentioned earlier, removing buses is more expensive than keeping them. Another reason why I'll get to your question, Kevin. I see you. I've even another reason why this is bad. On-demand services get overwhelmed. The more people use GoLink, the worse the system gets, or unless Dart hires more drivers. Because what can happen is if all the drivers are occupied, you might not be able to get a ride for like another, like I said, 30 minutes or so. Dart targets a 15-minute average wait time for GoLink. That's the average. Sometimes it can be higher. Sometimes it can be lower. I've had GoLinks come after like 2 minutes, and that's great. But I've also seen GoLinks that were not going to come for 40 minutes. And when that's happened, I've actually had a bus alternative to take. Taking all the people off the bus could easily overwhelm the GoLink system, leading to longer wait times. I never have to worry about if all the bus drivers are occupied because, I mean, there's still a seat for me on the bus. That's very much not, so it's not a concern there, but it is a concern with Uber. So in conclusion, Plano can have their cake and eat it too. They can have their citywide GoLink and keep their buses. Buses would enhance citywide GoLink and makes it better because you have that option available to you if GoLink's not working well. Buses would prevent GoLink from getting overwhelmed. The best option for Plano is the cheapest, doesn't require any service cuts. We should support Plano buses. Okay, so this is all kind of confusing. I'm going to go back to the maps and start answering questions. Can we start with Kevin? Kevin, raise your hand so Tyler can find you. There you go.
Kevin. So yeah, let's keep these to questions about how we can support this movement or the technical implementation. Statements,
and clarifying questions.
Yeah, clarifying questions are great. Statements, if we have time.
Yes. Let's start with All
right, my question is actually how GoLink works as far as how you pay for it. As in, like right now, if I get like a pass, like a PM pass, I can just jump onto any Dart vehicle and it's good. If I request a GoLink, is that an additional fee?
No, it's with your Dart pass.
All right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah. So whether or not, just so we're clear, so if you get a GoLink van, part of the pass on the app, if you have an active one, no extra fee. If you get an Uber, same thing, no extra fee. It routes you to the Uber app, but it pays it for you. It does not tip the Uber driver. I've had my rating suffer as an Uber rider because I took GoLink trips that went through Uber. You can turn it off in the app. You can say, I only want a GoLink van and I'm willing to wait. That is an option. So just a heads up there. Okay, question, you sir.
When we say that
Plano is asking Dart X, who in Plano is most responsible?
Well, we saw this letter that the mayor of Plano listed. They had a list of demands. One of those demands was get rid of the buses. So we can assume the mayor is at least part of this. I would also say Councilman Williams is pretty anti-fixed route and has talked about technology as an alternative, whatever that means. I guess it means this. So I would assume the mayor and Councilman Williams, but I cannot say for sure definitively.
Thanks for this presentation. I have two clarifying questions for classes of riders. First, there's several handicapped people who ride on the bus with wheelchairs. How would that work in a Uber?
So
and then second, there's classes of riders that ride their bike to the DART bus. They put they put it on the front rack, and then they ride. Most Uber drivers I've seen don't have a rack for bikes. So how would that impact handicapped people, and how would that impact bike riders?
Okay, so I'll go a little bit into more detail for how GoLink works. DART has a contract with a company that provides the GoLink service. If all those drivers are occupied, they then go to Uber. So though that company, I think they're called Transdev, their vans are all ADA accessible. So if you do have a wheelchair or a disability, you might need to just not be able to accept the Uber rides and only do the GoLink vans, which would be a bad experience because those Uber rides are intended to shorten your waits. And they don't always work, by the way. I think they have like limited budget, so they don't always book you an Uber. For your second question on bikes, I will need to defer to the audience. What happens if you try to bike with GoLink?
I've got an answer. I've seen bike racks on the Uber GoLink vans. I've never used it. I do use the bus bike racks, but I've never used them. They do exist on the vans. If you get an Uber, I guess you're SOL. Which again is an issue. Brooklyn, do you have a way to clarify?
You cannot request a GoLink van with bike racks. They do exist in certain zones. My zone is the East Plano GoLink. They do not offer vehicles with bike racks. However, Northwest Plano and Chase Oaks do. So it's at the whim of the zone.
All right.
So yes, bike mobility is worse with GoLink, no question.
All right, there we go. That's another reason why you should not get rid of your buses. All right,
Just so I have the full, and I don't know if you touched on it very briefly. So we got the price on the slides for step 1, price tag for step 2, and a price tag for step 3. Do we have the price tag for just like the baseline? So how much is it currently costing for a current GoLink with our different zones and the current bus routes?
I do not have that.
How much it would cost to start
On
that time. This is all net cost. Okay, so don't know the food.
Yeah, these are all deltas. We don't know the base cost. Mind you, I should clarify. This costing $11 to $13 million. This includes $5 million in cost savings from killing those bus routes or shortening them. So this saving is on top of that $5 million reduction. So step 3 is the most expensive. It is $11 million more than what we spend today, minimum.
So the maximum cost would be 5.1 plus.
No. 5.1. That it's.
If we're talking about how much it takes to provide this specific set of services to Plano, then it's the 5.1 plus whatever that net cost increases.
This includes that cost saving. So this is the total DART would spend.
That's the net change in cost?
Yes.
If we're talking about how expensive this service is, how much dollars DART is actually spending, it's going to be that 5.1 plus the 13.1.
I guess so, yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's fair.
That would be accurate.
So it's a one-time benefit. I assume Jack Hatchell Transit Center, which is halfway between
the top of George Bush there and Parker is gone in either situation and sold out. I mean, I've heard it's going away. It doesn't really serve a purpose with their frequencies, so it's not really considered in this. Is that right?
We don't know what happens to Jack Hatchell under this plan. They didn't. Hexel knows, maybe.
Yeah, so they actually gave a presentation to advisory committee, DART Citizen Advisory Committee recently about the transit centers. A lot of the transit centers are going to be upgraded, or they have 3 new categories. Long story short, rather than it being a purely transit center where that's all it is, different transit centers are going to be these different categories where they're integrated into something else. Like best case scenario, it's like imagine like a new development with like apartments or hotel or whatever with the transit center as its ground floor. So technically, it's not a transit center in the sense that that's all it is, but that's what they're looking at doing with all of these transit centers that are currently just that's the only thing they are.
Where'd you see that? Like, was it a DART thing? They may have forgotten it.
Yeah, now if there's no buses.
Yeah. So under this map, Jack Hatchell is not served. They might just reroute it to not go there because only one route's hitting it. So there's no point in having it. But I don't think step 3 is going to happen because we have a plan to stop it. So,
one last check for questions. I think, yeah, so Connor's got what we want to do about it, and then we can maybe move into some statements or tips as we have time. Does that sound good?
Yeah.
Cool. Last call for any questions about what's happening. All right, let's go.
All right. So what are we going to do about this? I think as a group, we generally support step 1, right? Like, this is okay. We're okay with this. We don't mind this. This is bad, right? Is that cool? I'm glad we're in agreement. So, okay. DART does this for the routes 234 and 254, and they kind of just do it when the need arises to save Go-Link rides. So I don't think we need to advocate for that level of detailed implementation. DART will figure that out.
Yeah, there's some stuff on the back end.
So,
comment?
We don't need to.
Yeah,
not right
so,
now.
yeah, we'll get to
All right.
statements, comments at the end.
So we have a dual plan of attack here. If you live in Plano, I want you to go to the city council meeting on Monday. It'll be it starts at 7 o'clock, but you have to register now. If you're not in Plano, I want you to go to the DART board meeting. I should have put the day.
That's Tuesday. That's literally Tuesday.
Tuesday.
It's this Tuesday, right, Connor?
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
On Monday. Yeah, and it's on the calendar. How do I? Top right. Cool.
Irving is on it too.
So,
we
well, this is about Plano. Well, we don't need to go to Irving City Council, right? Well, we can go to Irving City Council. Is this something else?
Yeah, I think the
Okay.
point is well founded. Irving is on this too. Plano is the one demanding reduction in bus service, which is just a slightly more immediate threat.
Yeah.
But that is actually the second comment we've had that Irving is a problem. So I think it's worth. We'll get to it. Agreed.
Yeah. So, hey, if you live in Plano, I would ask you to do this meeting. You have to sign up. This QR code will help you sign up. This one right here specifically, that's just our sign-in QR code. This is the one you want to scan. if you're not in Plano, go this Tuesday. All right, this upcoming Tuesday. I would appreciate it if we could get a good turnout at this DART board meeting so we can let DART staff know, let DART know, let Nadine know, let the board know that we are not a fan of steps 2 and steps 3. We just want to keep the buses as is. I think I'm willing to compromise and allow them to, I say compromise. I honestly am not, I don't care if step 1 happens. That's fine. More going in Plano? Sure. At the expense of buses, that's where I'm going to draw a line. So let's go to the DART board meeting and tell them, please do not get rid of these bus routes. And Plano residents, feel free to double dip. But I have it split up this way, so that way, like, I know some of you will want to sleep or want to do something else with your time.
Correct.
So, I hope to see a lot of you at the board meeting. And I hope to see the Plano residents here at the Plano meeting. That's my upside. Yeah, it's just another sign up slide. So yeah, you're gonna sign up before 4 o'clock on Monday for Plano. At the DART board meeting, you sign up when you get there.
Yeah, it's an in-person thing. Okay, Connor, are there any more details on action steps for this?
Nah, we're just these 2 days, Monday and Tuesday.
Okay, that's the 24th and 25th, literally 2 and 3 days from now. Okay, so I'm thinking we are actually already 6 minutes past the 3 o'clock closing of the meeting.
No, it's 3:30.
Oh, it's 3:30. Oh, we got some time then.
And technically we have the room till 4, but
yeah. So what I think I want to do is we can take a few more clarifying questions. We have a couple more exec reports. I know I have some stuff I want to cover operationally.
yeah.
So let's take questions on the Go link. Then we can save comments, statements, tips, etc. for the end as time allows, and people who need to go can go, having all the information. So with that said, questions about Go link activism for Plano, Monday or Tuesday? Yes. Patrick wins. I'll take this half of the room.
Okay. I just want to make a clarification. Are we allowed to like do comments for I'm talking about the Plano Council. Are we allowed to do comments in person or we're
no, you have to do it digitally over Zoom. And I'm going to talk about how this meeting works. So the meeting starts at 7. You will not be able to leave your public comments to Plano City Council till the very end. And the meeting, that might not be till like 9, 10 o'clock. Find something to do. Put your headphones on, keep the Zoom meeting on, and just wait for them to get to public comments. That's all I can say about that. Yes, you have to register here. 4 p.m. Monday.
Yeah, but just a heads up on Plano. Yeah, it could be 9:30 p.m. It could also be 7:05 p.m. Some fast. So you got to be flexible.
Yes. Last time we went to Plano City Council, we literally had someone take the meeting from Walmart. They brought their phone with them to Walmart, and that was awesome. I love that. Okay, I think we're good on questions. All right. Hey, Tyler.
First of all, GoLink is on in a certain zone, and I think with Plano, it's still within a specified area. To me, this is like apples and oranges. The bus goes from Dallas to Plano, whatever. I mean, how many people want to stay just within Plano? That's the first comment. And also with GoLink, the drivers for GoLink, not the Uber drivers, but the I guess the vans. Transdev is a new company since October. I think they're still not up to par as to the right number of drivers. They're still in training. But my main thing is that this is a regional system just to stay within Plano. I mean, some people may want to stay just within Plano. But I mean, like when I go to 236, I want to go to either Jack Hatchell or, I live in Addison, or I want to go to, we've had a few socials at the downtown Plano station. So I don't see how these things are equivalent to the bus service at all.
Exactly. I could not agree more. Okay. So, Tyler, do you want to go with your exec report first? Where's Tyler? Oh, there it is.
So here's an idea. I know we don't have a lot of time for all the statements. I apologize for that. Tammy just asked if she could email your stories. Your GoLink stories can be emailed to info@ridewithdata.org. All of the execs will see it. And if you have any suggestions, we can even make a plan to like socialize that, saying, hey, this GoLink change affects us because GoLink has this weakness, this problem, this issue, why it wouldn't work. Personal stories are great.
Yeah, I
So-
will say that that's and maybe we can forward it to someone too.
Post them in the group meeting, post them in the Discord, just go down. And if you want to contact people like outside, go crazy. And it's like, you know, these people have a relationship with officials.
Yeah,
It doesn't have to be.
yeah. If you know someone at Dark, tell Dark because they're in service planning. So, all right, they know. Okay. All right, Tyler, do you want to do your exec report first, or should we talk about the Silverline stuff?
Let me just say, okay, so David alluded to it earlier, but regarding the kind of the bill movements in the House, I'm kind of putting together a little task force between the execs and people who sign up of like various things that they're going to be the focus of. Like David said, him and I are going to be your guys for contacting reps questions. Hey, can you proofread this email? We might even set up some productivity nights in the Discord or in person. But there's other tasks. So if there's anything you want to contribute, I will be posting a list on both the GroupMe and Discord of the current people we have doing the current things. If you want to add yourself to the hey, I can help with this, or if you have something completely new you think you should be helping with, suggest them in the chat and you will be that person. The only way we get to be as effective as we can be is if we kind of divide and conquer. So other than contacting your reps, so that's just mandatory, pick the thing you want to focus on, whether it be press conferences, as it were, or any other thing that we talk about, and focus in on that, because there's a lot of us who are really good. So we can trust each other to take care of the other things. So look out for details forthcoming on that. That's literally my report. That's it. Yeah, man.
If anyone is willing to meet your representative and you haven't already, and you want to start setting that up, please talk to me and Tyler about that, especially if it's a Republican. If we can start meeting with these representative staff and kind of put the ball rolling as far as getting ahead of this bill and talking to them and just killing it, before it gets anywhere. That's what we want to do.
Sweet. Thanks, guys. Yeah, don't ask me for advice on how to talk to Republicans, by the way. I'm not good at it.
I mean,
yeah,
just be like, hey, this Dart stuff's important to me. Yeah,
I'll help with that.
They're they're going to be very nice to you. Yeah. So. Silverline public meeting. Okay, this is our last thing, and this is a quick one. So DART is holding public hearings to talk about service changes regarding next year. The main service change for next year, I'm not sure if you've heard of it, but there's going to be this new commuter rail line between Plano and the airport, connecting the northern suburbs. So it is currently at the meeting. So I'll get to the other slide. I'm doing out of order, but at the meeting, we asked what the best possible frequency on the Silverline is. They said 20 minutes is the best possible headways they can run logistically. The current planned headways are 30 minutes during peak periods and 60 minutes off peak, 60-minute on frequencies on weekends. Yeah, so we're not a fan of once-an-hour trains. DART spent a lot of money on the Silverline. The amount of money it takes to operate, a lot less in comparison. So they might as well get the most of their money and operate as many trains as we can. 60-minute wait, too long. I want to just put this out there. We're not really sure what the DART budget will allow, but we have to advocate for the best that's possible. So these meetings, there's several of them, and when they're closer, we'll definitely be chatting about them in GroupMe and Discord. But these are opportunities for us to go and talk about the service changings, and we can speak about how we want the Silver Line train to come every 20 minutes. Hopefully, this will result in, at the very least, not 60-minute headways. That would be great. So yeah, be prepared to go and tell DART staff, hey, 60 minutes is not good enough. Have you thought about like 20-minute, 30-minute, whatever frequencies, So 20 minutes is what's possible. Let's try to advocate for something better than 60. I think that's everything. And with that being everything, I am going to put these slides just back to HB 3187. That is the bill that will destroy DART. This is what we need to call an email about. Get your friends to do it too. Get your friends to send an email. If they're your friend, yeah, sure. They'll do it. Yeah. If they're your family members, if they're your neighbors, and if they talk to you and they like you, they might be willing to do this for you. So there's no point in out of state. There's no point. Yeah, like, hey, I live in Oklahoma. You shouldn't cut DART's funding. All right. Are there any more exec reports? Sure.
Yeah, just want to. Hi there, Alex again. Now that we have a parliamentarian, this should go a lot faster. But I'm continuing to work on the bylaws, as I mentioned. My goal is to have them up for a vote at next month's meeting, just so that we can adopt them and get them, ratified and start working by them. So I will be continuing to refine them over the next couple weeks, and then I will have them published. The links that we've given you at last month's meeting, those still work, and they automatically update with all of my changes. So you will see the little bits that are currently incomplete. But part of that, one thing I do want to call out is that we'll be adding like sections on, we'll need to have a treasurer and a finance committee and stuff. So I just want to make sure that that is there. Y'all are aware of that. And it's like, just want to make sure that we are being transparent about, if we start to fundraise or something, or if we start to reorganize as a nonprofit so that we can fundraise. We just want to make sure that we're above the board on the level, and we're doing it super transparently so that you all know what any money that is being contributed is going towards. Aside from that, just want to make sure that I'm super transparent about the fact that we have bylaws, and that we want to get them in front of you. So again, those links are already in the Discord and in the GroupMe. We can repost them. Are they pinned? Okay. Yeah, it's in the announcements channel. Looks like we do have a question. Is it a question about the bylaws? So yeah, hang on one sec. Let me just finish what I've got here, and then we can return to more comments. So if anybody has any questions about the bylaws, again, please don't hesitate to get in touch with me. You can contact me if you have feedback on the bylaws at secretary@ridewithdata.org. Yeah, one more report.
If you don't know who I am, I'm Rohan. I am your social media chair. And so as part of communicating for the wider area, try to oppose this bill, we want to talk to business owners, local business owners, people who they have skin in the game. With the loss of public transit funding, that's people not getting to work, people not getting to worship and in church, people not getting to school, Dallas ISD students and people all across the Metroplex use Dart to get to school. And if Dart gets cut, these people will suffer way, way more. And so getting business owners, getting people who use Dart, who use Dart on board, just as a point of contact, just to get their story out there, this will be really, really helpful for our social media efforts and just for generally building marketing around this bill. So I'd like each and every one of you to just take some time, 5 minutes, just a short amount of time, just think about who you know, their emails, contacts, etc., and reach out. Tell us about them so we can establish a base of communication. Business owners, people who work for schools, people who work in churches, etc., etc. Because the more, the better. And we have lots and lots of ideas for social media posts. Me and Garrett, we had talked about doing maybe some on the street interviews at Dart stations or transit centers, just to kind of gauge people's reactions to this bill, because it's shocking, really. A lot of people, they don't know about the efforts that are being done to cut Dart, and we can effectively get opinions, and using that as a social media base that would be pretty powerful. So once again, we're in need of contacts, and also we're in need of help. So if anyone, as Tyler said, if you know how to work with scripting or editing or video editing or voiceovering, if you have expertise in that, or if you just want to help out, reach out, because we need the help. Thank you.
I'm going to clarify that question we just got. This is an immediate threat. No, if this passes, we will immediately see Dart lose a lot of money. But it's so I guess the general mobility fund happens immediately. Dart continues to collect 1% sales tax for the foreseeable future for 20 years. But in the meantime, cities can claw back 25% of what they pay. So even though Dart's collecting the 1% sales tax, this general mobility fund allows cities to take back up to 25%. That happens immediately. This happens much later when the bonds are paid. That's when we see a 44% reduction. So it's immediately 25%, then later 44%. Does that make sense? Cool. I'm glad. I'm just gonna so our meeting ends in 7 minutes, and I think we can now answer questions about anything. It could be Plano buses, Silverline, or legislation. Oh, wait. Before we do that, Xander.
Oh, I just also wanted to point out, if you hadn't noticed, we do have voter registration forms over there. So if you're not registered to vote, go ahead and grab a form. We can help you fill it out, and you can get yourself registered. I think you can even drop it off here because this is the library. No, if you already registered, you can check on the Texas Secretary of State website what your voter registration status is. So if you're already registered, you're good. But if you're not registered, you recently moved to Texas or recently became of voting age, you can grab a form, or if you know somebody who is, etc. Anyways, voter forms.
Okay. Let's go back to questions. I saw Warren raise his hand first.
Thanks. A couple things. Number one, since you brought it up, if you do think you're registered, double check. They've been doing some voter roll purges, and I know some folks who should have not been purged have been purged. So go ahead and double check. But what I was actually going to comment was on the Plano bus stuff. If for some reason you can't be there in person, both the city of Plano and Dart allow you to make comments online that also go into the public record. It's maybe not as great as going in person and speaking there, but it's a whole lot better than nothing. So I would definitely encourage y'all, if you can't be there in person or on Zoom, to do that instead. Yes.
All right. Any more?
Connor, do you want to call on who you want
Him in the middle. He was with the green jacket. Yeah, he was next.
Hi there. Do we know what they're considering off-peak hours for Silver Line?
60 minutes.
Oh, yeah, but
30 minutes,
like what time period?
It's like no. No, 10 to 3, no. Oh, that's off peak. Yeah. So okay, sorry. I thought you said 3 p.m. to 10 p.m. or something. No. Yeah, so for off peak, yeah, like 9, 10 a.m. would be when it begins. And then it would be when it ends, like 9, 10 a.m. would end. Then it'd start back up again at like maybe 4 o'clock. Then it'd end again at like 6 or 7. 3. It's 3 o'clock. I'm sure at these meetings they'll have the more specific time. They extend that peak time. That would be maybe a good win too.
Yeah, I was just thinking regarding the Silver Line, like where it takes you. If this is an airport line, you know, flights delay, people get in at weird hours all the time. And if we want people to use this for the airport to connect themselves to their city that they want to get back to, then I think that's a really good angle to tackle that from, to try to say, hey, we need these service all the time on weekends. If we want people to use this as a convenient trip to save that toll going into the airport and trying to park there, because it's crazy.
All right, I saw Phyllis had her hand raised.
Thank you. This is just a general comment. Most of you probably already know, but on March the 1st, there will be a new fare restructuring. The main thing is there won't be an AM pass and a PM pass. It's just a day pass or a 3-hour pass, and there's a lot of other details. So for some of you who may not be in the region, but peripherally use North, I wanted to let you know.
All right, go to the back. There's 3 people there have all been raising their hands. Yeah. And
Okay, so I don't know if everybody saw, but NCTCOG, the regional planning and organization, they handle a lot of the federal funds. At their last meeting in February, it was a little complicated, but the vote basically came down that they do not have a legislative priority on DART funding at the state level. They will need to hold an emergency meeting. I think they said within 72 hours. This did go out on a Friday afternoon, so I don't think they have called that. When it does, we should have people there to put public comments. It is in Arlington, Texas. Good luck getting there.
Regarding the silver issue is actually closely linked to the Plano issue, because the silver line is going to serving probably, it's going to go straight to the airport, and so if we could get that train running every 20 minutes at peak, it would be really hard for Plano to pull the back and sacrifice that service, because it'd be really fighting the traffic. I was also going to say a brief thing about the way to keep from getting purged is to vote often, because if you haven't voted in 2 years or more, the longer you go without voting, the quickly you'll get purged.
If anybody have questions about how to use Golang, come to me after me, because I'm being expert question.
Also, one thing I realized from Lyft and Uber driving, especially around the airports at night and on weekends, is if any of those silver rail stops land within reach of any of those hotels in the area, at 10 o'clock, all those hotels stop running their shuttle service. And that is also when all the delayed flights from the day end up coming in. So if you've ever been one, then you're stuck at the terminal. You're paying like $40 for an Uber, even if you only have to go 10 minutes. If you have to go even further, it's worse. If you're going all the way up to Plano, so you've got the tolls, you've got the distance, you've got everything. It's terrible for passengers that way. So if we can get any of those hotels involved and say that, hey, right after all the hotel shuttles close and when all these delayed flights are arriving, if you could at least increase frequency for that timing, that little window after 10 o'clock to like midnight for those 2 hours on most nights, especially on say Sunday nights, because you're going to have a lot of travelers coming in, then that could be useful for a lot more people that could save themselves like a $50 trip back into the burbs.
Yeah.
Good point.
All right, so it's 3:31. What are we all gonna do about HB 3187? Just yes, and email if calling is not your style. Preferably between 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. Just saying, because that's when you'll get someone on the phone. You call your city councilors too. Our priority, I think the order priority is like state reps and then city council below that right now. But yeah, we all know what to do, right? So. All right, I think we're ready to end the meeting. I'd be around, so you can ask me questions. Yeah, sure.
Yeah, unofficial exchange, lunch at the exchange. If you guys have time, feel free to come by. Data will have a table somewhere.
Yeah, please talk to me if you need to. So, adjourned.
Thanks, everyone.
But you mainly not ready. So invite. I think there might be an invite. I don't know how to, it's on the data website. It's on the data website. I don't know how to operate the. It's really your